Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So as you already know, my name is Nanelle Griselda, and today I have with me one of the most controversial people I know in my life. Honestly, I've been arguing with this guy from nursing school back in Ghana. He will sit me down and tell me why I don't have to wear so much makeup because the makeup will enter my pores or the skin. He is arguably like the most controversial person in my life. When we did Ghana nursing versus nursing in the UK, this guy wrote an essay, honestly, based on what he thinks. So I was thinking of a topic, expectations versus reality. Most of us had expectations before we moved to the UK, and then the reality on the ground. For some people, before their expectations have been met, others not really. So with this topic, I thought, this guy's, I just want to know this guy's view, honestly, with the way he thinks. So before we even start, let me issue a disclaimer. Whatever he says is his opinion. I am very sure that I'm very sure that I might not agree entirely with what most of the things he say, honestly, but I just want to know his view because of the way he thinks. So he is Manikaze. I've been calling you Manikaze. I was thinking, so what's your real name? Like, I couldn't really remember. Please introduce yourself. Manikaze is a colleague. I was in the same nursing school with him in a class back in KUST, and we are both in the UK now. So please tell us your name, something little about your nursing career, and yeah.
Right. I'm Benard Korang Yaboa. Mostly I use Benard Korang. Like you said, we finished school in 2016, and since then, I was working in Ghana before moving over to UK. So I've been in the UK for about 2 years, 6 months, I'll say. I first started in Scotland, and then I moved down to England. So I was in Scotland until March 2020, and then I moved down to England, and then March 2020. So far, I've been in England since last year. Yeah.
Wow. So which part of Scotland exactly were you? And were you in NHS?
Since I've been to the UK, I've been working in a care home. I've never been into the NHS. Yeah, so I was working in a care home.
And where in Scotland were you?
Right, the town is called Bathgate. It's about 30 minutes drive from Edinburgh. And then about 40 minutes drive to Glasgow.
Okay, so you're close to the city then, the main city then.
Yeah. So in between, I was in between the cities. So yeah.
Okay, and then where in England are you now?
I'm in Lincoln. Lincoln is in East Midlands, I think, East or West Midlands. Yeah, it always confuses me. But Lincoln is somewhere in the northern aspect of England, but not that down. I think it's closer to Nottingham. It's 55 minutes drive to Nottingham. It's a city, and it's also closer. Sorry.
How close is it to London, Lincoln? How close is it to London?
It's about 3 hours, 30 minutes drive to London.
That's far.
Yeah, it's a bit far, I'll say.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's you. I know we are going to talk about expectations versus reality, but because you chipped in the fact that you've lived in Scotland and you're currently living in England, let's just talk a bit about the cost of living there in Scotland versus in England. Just something brief.
Right. So before I came to UK in general, when I was in Ghana, I had a chat with some of my colleagues who happened to be in the UK. So I asked them about what they think the cost of living in Scotland as compared to England. Sometimes I'll bring in Northern Ireland just because to help me in my choice. And generally, Northern Ireland seems to be a bit, the cost of living was lower compared to the other two countries. So people kept saying Scotland will be cheaper. Though the people I was talking with had not been there before, but given the information they had, they told me Scotland would be a bit cheaper to live as compared to England. So I went over to Scotland. But after staying in Bathgate for 8 months, I didn't realize that to be true because I was looking at the cost of rent in that small town, Bathgate, and I was expecting something like a two-bedroom flat to be somewhere around 450 as at that time. But I was getting prices like 650, 600.
Seriously.
Yeah, seriously. And then I was like, oh, so I contacted some of my friends down in England, and then they were paying almost the same amount as I was paying, and they were in the cities, and then I
You
was in
were.
a town,
Yeah.
in Scotland, so I was expecting to get a cheaper price. So I realized that it's not so true for every town in Scotland. It could be for some other towns, but not everywhere. So generally, I would say the cost of living in Scotland and the cost of living in England is a bit at par. It depends on, and then given I could say it depends on how close you are to the city, because, like I said, Bathgate is like 30 minutes drive to Edinburgh. People prefer to come and stay in Bathgate because it's very quiet. You could just commute to Edinburgh or Glasgow. So it was a hot cake. There was no violence and everything. So I
By the way,
think
I
that
like the way you said Glasgow. I say Glasgow.
um, uh, so wouldn't say media minute. So wouldn't say signing one media. Running to Chamodia. Right. So yeah. So because it was in between two big cities, people would like to pick that. So that might be one factor influencing the cost of rent there. So when I came down to England, Lincoln, which is the northern aspect of England, currently I stay in a two-bedroom flat and it's 495 per month. So it's relatively,
Oh
yeah,
my
England, 495.
God.
You know, you see, even when I was taking this flat, there were some that cost like 450 a month.
Wow.
But I don't think you're going to get it now because it will be very
I
difficult to
don't
get.
think the difference will be that much, anyways, right?
Yeah, now you get them to be around 500, 550, and it's a city. We've got it's a Lincoln is a big city, not
Okay.
so big city as you say, but it's a nice place to live. So comparing the cost of living in terms of rent, you could see that staying in Scotland, staying in England, where I am currently, is not much difference. Even if it's cheaper to live in Lincoln as compared to Bathgate, but it could be different for other towns in Scotland. And
Do you pay council tax in Scotland?
yes, you do pay
And are
council.
you're paying in Lincoln, right?
Yeah, you do pay in
Are you
Lincoln
paying
as
the same
well.
amount?
I think generally the tax in Scotland is a bit different from the tax in England. Not by so much, but if you look at the tax rate as projected for the coming year, you could see that there might be some slight differences, especially in the personal tax allowances. England is 12,570. Scotland might be a bit different. It might be cheaper, a bit lower in Scotland, but you will hit the next tax zone earlier in Scotland than England. So I'm not very sure of the values. That's why I'm just giving a general idea about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you do pay council tax in Scotland. I think I'm not sure whether they pay water bill or not. Because as at that time, I wasn't renting the flat. I was sharing an apartment with someone, so I wasn't doing much of the bill paying. It was the guy who was paying the bill. So I can't tell for sure. But generally, with food and drinks,
Literally.
those things over, yeah, the same thing.
Yeah.
So
So we could talk about cost of living. It's mostly rent and then other bills and then
yeah,
transportation. Mostly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Rent and property. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you have been in the UK for 2 years and 6 months. That's a long time. Uh,
Yeah.
first of all, tell me, how excited were you before you came? How excited were you?
Um, to be frank,
Huh,
I wasn't so much
don't lie.
excited.
Don't
And
lie.
I'm not lying.
Don't lie.
Listen.
uh,
I understand many people are excited to come to the
uh,
UK because
uh,
it's something they dream of, or
uh-huh.
they've dreamt of coming, and then some are dreaming of coming as well. I'm not daunting the hopes of anybody. Everybody's got plans. Um, I only got to know that I have to move to the UK in a short time. That means it wasn't even part of my initial intention. I had to come as a result of I wouldn't say pressure, but uh, a desire to explore certain aspects of my life. But it's not something I had initially planned to do. So I wasn't so much excited. I would say it's mixed feelings of not knowing what will happen, what's ahead, whether I'm going to regret that decision or not, because initially I had not planned. So I wouldn't say I was very much excited. I just came to the UK and then, well, so far, had my fair share of experience here.
I can imagine. So tell me, in terms of the job satisfaction, what were your expectations?
Right. So I understand that there's a shortage of staff, especially when it comes to the health sector, but I didn't expect it to be that overwhelming, especially in the care homes. I've been to some care homes, not to work, but just to attend some trainings and everything. And I've had friends in other care homes who don't speak, and you could see the staff to resident ratio. Some are very overwhelming, and then you can't think of staff able to achieve care as you expected. The only thing I'll say about is the pay rate, and then at times also the swiftness with which they pay staff, and then there's no cheating as compared to other parts of the world. You're well paid for your job, on time. The timing of the payment and everything for that one is perfect. As long as the terms matches with your contract, you get everything as stated in your contract without any hassle as compared to other parts of the world. So that's one good thing. But the staffing ratios, I expected it to be not up to what they were saying, but not this level. It's too much, man.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah, in the care homes when you work during the day shift is I wouldn't say crazy, but is
What's
overwhelming.
what's the largest number of residents that have been in your care at a time? Like the largest number?
45.
45 residents.
I'm
I won't
not
work at
joking.
like that.
I'm not joking.
And how
It's
many
not
nurses for 45?
what
How many nurses for 45?
one.
No,
No,
I won't work at a place like that.
no. You see, it's supposed to be.
Your
It's
light
supposed to.
is decent. I think you've gone to,
All
okay.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can you get a clearer picture of me? Yeah. So it's supposed to be a two seniors on duty, but most of the times excuses by the management as to why they were not able to get somebody to come in and everything, and it becomes a habit. So it, long run, if management is not able to resolve the situation, you just have to leave. So that's the situation in some of the care homes. It's crazy, you can't meet needs for that because people are paying for care. And,
That's true.
yeah, by the end
That's
of the day, you don't get the staff to meet the needs. So
okay. So with salary, you are okay with how much you're getting? Were your expectations met?
yeah, with salary, I'll say yeah. I think it
Yeah,
matches very well. Yeah, for that one. So far, wherever I've worked, it matches very well. So I don't have a problem with that.
so with job satisfaction, sorry, you are not so satisfied because of the ratio. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say so. And it's not with every care. It depends
On
on
the company
care.
you're working for.
Yeah, when I was in Bathgate, I had about 18 residents in my care. That was very okay, and then we had enough care staff to deal with it, so it was fine. But the salary as at that time was okay for the area, but a man's got needs. You need more money to meet your needs. So.
I understand. What what about, let's talk about the friendliness of the people, discrimination, racism. Before you came, were you scared that you'd be discriminated because of your skin color? And then when you got here, would you say that, oh no, they are so friendly? Or would you say that you've been discriminated? Would you say that your expectations have not been met?
Right. Racism is something that is global. You just hear that in every aspect of the world. You hear that in the news. So, especially coming to the UK, you will have thoughts about how people were going to relate to you based on your skin color. So, when I first came here, what I've realized is that no matter what happens, whether people hate you in this country, they will not even come straight at you to say it.
Yeah.
But
Obviously,
yeah,
it's not allowed, so like they'll hide it. Uh-huh.
yes, they'll hide it, and that is one aspect that helps a lot because unless maybe you get involved with that person in a more personal way until that person reviews such an attitude, you wouldn't know because most of the time they are purpose driven. You're going to a shop to buy something, sells to you, case closed, you go your way. You're picking the taxi, that's it. It drops you off to where you want to go, that's it. So basically, if you don't want to go more than that, you wouldn't see more than that. Though you could see expressions on people's
Yes,
faces.
yes, you
Yeah.
can.
But
Yeah. Uh-huh.
even in our countries and everything, we have people who hate you for no reason. And so it's not something I'm really much bothered about.
I like the
And
mindset. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not so bothered about those things. And I always just tell my friends, even when you move to a care home, when you go there and see somebody exhibiting some behaviors suggestive of racist abuse, know that when you apply to the care home, you never knew that person. You only got to know the person in the field of work. So that person wasn't your focus when you came here. So stop paying attention to that.
Exactly.
Just focus on your work. And
That's
then
why I'm agreeing with you. I thought you were going to say something controversial. Anyways.
say, over the years, constantly listening to my lectures have changed you. So you are now agreeing with me.
Yeah.
So you're
Uh-huh.
now agreeing with me. So yeah, it's not something I'm so much bothered about. Though we've seen instances of people, you could see from the expressions and everything. Well, hate is everywhere in our country, on the streets, everywhere, outside your country, abroad. So it shouldn't be the focus of where you're here. You shouldn't think that you're moving over to a foreign country for people to accept you more than your home country. It won't even happen. It's something that's everywhere. So, um, yeah,
What about the food? When you were coming, what were you expecting? And when you got here, what's it? The food.
right. Uh, Speaking the truth, if you see the food as presented on television, you start salivating before you even get to the food. But actually
However,
tasting,
however,
but the word is but. Oh my God! You see, it's not as it looks on television. I tell you, after tasting one or two meals, yeah, I gave up. I gave up. When I first came, I was staying in a B&B. My company had a B&B, and then the woman used to cook for me. She was a good cook. You could realize that she knew whatever she was doing. But when I tasted the food, maybe my taste buds were not used to that type of food. And that was one
I
reason.
actually discharged myself from the hospital. I was admitted because of the food. I could not. I discharged. I just told them I had to go back, and they told me, I said, "Well, I'm not so fine, but I just had to go." And it was the food because aside the breakfast, which is obviously maybe tea and
Yeah.
toast, the lunch and the dinner, my husband has to buy KFC or McDonald's to bring to me every day. I just
Yeah.
ate it and I
So
started saying,
yeah, it's something. I mean, I'll say it's one of the reasons that fueled my move from Scotland to England because in Bathgate there was no African shop. You couldn't get any African food. Either I had to either go to Glasgow or go to Edinburgh and then get these foodstuffs. So I thought of moving to a place whereby I could just walk in and then get these things. So I came down to Lincoln. So whilst I was looking for a job in Lincoln, I was looking for African shop.
close
So
by. Right?
I don't care what amount of money you're paying me in your contract. If there's no African shop closer, I'm not coming because I need energy to work. and
It is important.
if and I realized that even with the taste of chicken is different. The taste of chicken,
From the African shop is different from the one from Tesco. And
is different. Yeah,
yes,
it's very different. So
chicken, tomatoes, everything is different. Like
everything is different.
everything
Everything
is
is different. Yeah.
different.
So
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay. So what about the weather? What were your expectations and
Right.
reality?
Right. So when I got here, it was in August, and August is supposed to be is it summer?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So when I got there, I had not bought any thick clothing. I didn't have much thick clothing. Of course, you're coming from the tropics, and then you don't get that thick clothing with you. I knew it was going to be cold, but I didn't expect it to be that level. So when I got to
I think
Edinburgh,
Scotland is colder than Lincoln, right?
yeah, very cold. So when I got to Edinburgh, I had taken off my overcoat. I just wanted to show off a bit, of course, yeah. So I saw I saw people walking by with coats. I was like, it's not that cold, is it?
I don't know what you mean.
But I was actually looking through the glass and making that judgment. So when I got off the airport to where I'm supposed to go, I felt this cold breeze all over my face. So I had
Yes,
to reach out for my overcoat and I
like
took
that.
it.
Yeah.
Not knowing wherever the driver was taking me was even colder than where I got than Edinburgh. So when I got to Bathgate, it was really cold, and then I forgot about my coat. I wasn't used to that going out and having an overcoat culture, that kind of thing. So I went out. So when I went out, that was about 40 minutes after arriving in Bathgate. I could hear my name, Benard, come back. This is Scotland. You need to cut your coat on. So that was my landlady trying to call me to come back and put a coat on because this is Scotland. I didn't understand what she meant by that. So I came back, put it on. So after walking for about 5 minutes, it started to rain. And it started raining. And then that was it. It rained every day until there was only some few days without rain
Brings a lot
whilst I
to
was
do.
there.
too.
Yeah, it rains a lot in Scotland. And then when my regional manager came to meet me, she was like, have you ever traveled out of your country before? I said, no. She said, is this the first time? I said, yes. And then you came to Scotland. Are you crazy? Because she said, this is one of the coldest places on this earth. And then you came here. But yeah, so I stayed in Scotland. The lowest the temperature went when I was there was like -9 or -6 or something.
Wow.
It was that cold. So when I came to Lincoln, I felt like, yeah, I'm the
It's a
boss
bit,
now. Yeah,
yeah, used to it now.
yeah. So I was used to the cold. So now it's much better. It's much
Okay.
better.
I hear, I see. Okay. So far we've recorded about 24 minutes. I don't want to make this video so long. So let's sum it up with the language, the accent. What were your expectations and the reality on the ground? The
Right.
accent.
I never knew Scottish accent was that thick.
Different.
They've got very thick accents, and it was a bit challenging for me when I was in the field of work. You couldn't get me, especially the residents, getting them to take the tablets or do anything. It was difficult for them to understand you because I didn't know they understood I as yes. So
Oh,
yeah, so it was like, will you take your medication?
I.
Uh,
Oh, I.
I,
Okay, I.
yeah.
I.
So it took me some time. It took me about 6 months. So I met this English lady who was working there, and then I asked her, how are you able to understand? Because obviously she was English, and then she spoke clearly. I could understand whatever she was saying. They said, it's like that for everybody. I'm English, but it takes me some time before I
It's
could pick up.
true. It's very true. What people don't know is that various parts of the UK have different accents. So if you
Yeah,
come to Northern Ireland, the accent is totally different. If you come to if you go to Scotland, the accent is very different. There's a resident in my care home who says anytime she goes to England and then she's trying to buy something, like they don't understand. She has to let her daughter, who's lived in England, speak on her behalf because her accent, her Irish accent, which is
so very.
English, but still very, very different here.
Yeah, I've realized that. See,
Yeah.
it's very thick. When I came to Northern Ireland, I realized the same thing. There's a bit of similarities between the Scottish accent and then Irish
Irish
accent.
accent.
And
Okay.
then I didn't know even they called moof. So,
Mouth.
you
Woof.
know, that moof. For some residents, they will say, "Do you want me to take this and put it in my moof?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah."
What's that?
One guest staff would shout, she means muff." So
Uh-huh.
right, so I realized there were some differences in the language. So I got used to the language anyway. I could understand whatever they were saying. So anything I was saying, I as well, I picked it up. But when I came down to England, I could clearly understand what was said because mostly it's the accent is much like what we speak in way back in Ghana. So
Or what we
it
used to
was,
watch on TV. The
yeah, yeah. So it
dictated
was a bit.
language. Yeah.
Yes. So, and even in England, in different parts of England, you could pick different accents.
That's
I
true.
think, yeah. So Lincoln has got a very traditional accent, which is very clear for you to understand. And then I think those in London has got a bit posh accent, and it's different for every place. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
last part, you are a family man.
yeah.
And how were your expectations, being a family man in the UK and what's the reality on the ground? And then just something little to summarize the whole thing, and then we'll just say bye bye.
Right. So I remember when I was in Scotland, a Zimbabwean lady told me, she asked me whether I've got a family, and I said yes. And told me it's a crime to have babies in this country.
Oh God.
Not literally,
Yeah,
but just
yeah.
trying to say
Just
it
trying to
was
say it's tough.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I brought my family over, I've got a kid, a daughter. So I'm a bit, I'm a light sleeper. I don't sleep very well during the day. So with any little disturbance, I just get up. Um, and she's very, very, I would say stubborn, but very active. She could disturb you the whole day. So I saw that the day me working the night and my wife working the day will not work. So you see that we all take the same night shifts, but
One person has
she,
to be home and then take care of
yeah,
the
take care of the baby whilst the other does the work. So at the end of your run of shifts, you come over and then the other person goes. So far that's proved to be working for me
So that
now.
means one has to do 4 shifts and one has to do 3 shifts.
Yeah, 3 shifts and then 4 shifts.
And that
So you
means
see, that means what?
less
Sorry,
money.
less money. That's the thing. So if you until the child starts to go to school, and then you could balance that and then put the child in school, and then you could run a double track kind of thing. So until then, this is the only thing because family is important.
Very important.
Yeah, in that case, you see yourself to be like every other day somebody's making money. Though the money is not as you're supposed to be, but every day somebody's
Every day someone is
making
making.
money. So
So
yeah,
that also means you don't get to have time to get that much.
no, yeah, you don't get that unless you take a little time off work and then
Both of you, and then just take
yes, yeah, you take time off work and then yeah, that's the other side of it. So until the child starts schooling, it becomes a challenge. I think this is the only option you could think of. You will not think of getting a child minder because the money will go back into the
you go
child
back.
minder.
Yeah.
So until you get somebody to take care of the child, that's the only option to use.
I've enjoyed this conversation. Your final words.
I would say to those who are trying to come here, I'll just tell them it depends on what you want to get. This country is full of opportunities, and then they're very nice people here. Also, there are very people who are not. There are other people who are not very nice. So it depends on what you want, how you choose your friendships, what you want to do, career. I see so many people arguing about care homes, nursing, hospitals. It depends on what everybody wants, what the purpose is here for everybody. So big ups to everybody out there who's trying to come here. Wish you all the best.
All the
And
best.
yeah.
Okay. So guys, that was Manikaze. Surprisingly, I agree with most of the things he said.
Because you've become a good student. So
So guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you're already in the UK, comment below. Do you agree with what he said? What's your opinion? And yeah, give this video a like. Okay, so thank you so much for watching and bye bye. Give them a bye bye. Manikaze, tell them to subscribe.
sorry.
Tell them to subscribe.
Of course, you have to subscribe if you want up-to-date information about nursing in the UK. Look no further. Nanelle is the best.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.